The history of copper futures is inseparable from the British Industrial Revolution. At that time, the Industrial Revolution required a large amount of metal supply, which gave birth to the initial establishment of the current London Metal Exchange. It was also at that time that copper futures took shape. Now the London Metal Exchange is the world's largest trading place for metals and metal derivative financial products. Copper futures is the most common metal raw material for industry and commercial use in the world. There's a positive correlation between the demand for copper and economic trends. When the economy is prosperous, the demand for copper futures will increase, which will further promote the price of copper futures. On the other hand, the price of copper futures is the world's leading economic indicator. Copper itself is a metal with good ductility, thermal conductivity, and electrical conductivity. Therefore, it is often used as a material for electronic components and can also be used as a building material. It is the largest non-ferrous metal in industrial use. The economy is closely related and is an indispensable raw material for many industries. This feature makes the price of copper easily affected by the global economic boom, especially the economic boom of emerging economies. This is because when the economy is booming, the demand for copper in emerging economies is large, which will push the price of copper higher. On the contrary, if the economy of the emerging economies goes down, the demand for copper will decrease, and the price of copper will also fall. For example, the weak copper price trend in 2008 was affected by the global economic boom. Conversely, when the global economy looks good, the trend of copper futures is also very bright. When investors find that the price of copper is no longer going down, it may indicate that the worst of the economy has passed. It is one of the leading indicators for studying the global economy. At present, most futures dealers have copper futures or spot to be traded. To trade copper futures, we mainly look at the liquidity of the underlying transaction costs. There are three main factors that determine the price of copper futures. 1. The company's expectations for the prospects. As mentioned above, copper has a great relationship with the global economic prosperity. The main reason is that copper is an indispensable raw material for many industries. Therefore, the price trend of copper can reflect the global economic prosperity and can also be used to evaluate the current global manufacturing industry. The world's largest manufacturing country is China, and it is also the world's largest copper consumer, accounting for nearly 50% of the world's demand. Therefore, the current economic situation in China can be roughly understood from the performance of copper prices. The United States is the second-ranked copper consumer, so copper prices are highly correlated with the U.S. manufacturing industry's prosperity data. 2. The inventory changes of copper itself. One of the main factors affecting price trends is the supply and demand of commodities, and inventory is one of the indicators that reflect current supply and demand. The main copper supply areas are the United States and Canada in North America, Chile and Peru in Latin America, the Congo in Africa, and the National Association of Independent States. The main demand countries are China, the United States and Japan. 3. The dollar index. Because the price of copper is negatively correlated with the dollar index. There's a certain negative correlation between the US dollar and international commodity prices, because basically international commodities are priced in US dollars. So changes in the US dollar exchange rate will have an impact on copper, and of course copper futures will also be affected. As long as the US dollar is in an appreciation cycle, It will suppress the price trend of international commodities priced in US dollars and keep the prices of these international commodities at a low level. Summary of investment techniques for copper futures. When trading copper futures, you need to first notice that the characteristics of copper futures are closely related to the global economy and international crude oil prices. Next, there are three main factors that determine the price of copper futures, which are the global manufacturing boom, changes in copper stocks, and the US dollar index. If you want to trade copper futures, you can compare domestic and foreign futures brokers to find the lowest handling fees and quotations.